สวัสดีค่ะ I was really excited for Burnout Syndrome because I thought it was going to break the Thai BL curse that is set couples always being endgame. Now, the show did confirm something I've been thinking about for a while as Thai BLs, evolve and continue to be like the trendsetters within the BL industry. And that is that set couples should not always be endgame. When I first saw the teasers for Burnout Syndrome, I'm not one to watch trailers or teasers typically, but like it's inescapable to a certain degree on TikTok. So when I was seeing like little clips here and there of the show, I was thinking, without knowing anything about the show, that it was gonna be like this mature, spicy love triangle, maybe threesome, I don't know. Starring an OG Thai BL couple, right, offgun. And I was super excited for it because the chemistry between Gun and Do seemed really good, and we already know that the chemistry between him and Off is really good, hence them celebrating their 10-year anniversary of being an on-screen couple, which is also why I believed that this was the perfect time, the perfect show, the perfect couple to change the BL game in the way we perceive set couples. Unfortunately, that's not quite what happened, but I do still think we are headed in that direction. But first, let me talk about set couples. So if you don't know, specifically with Thai BLs, there is what I like to call set couples. I don't know if there's like an actual term for this. You would think I would know after all these years. I don't know, but I've always called them set couples, where it's basically two male actors that find success as a on-screen couple in a show that they appear in, and they're usually like supporting cast or like a side couple to the main couple. Success being defined as people like them together in the show and they kind of build a fan base based on that, thus continuing to be an on-screen couple in multiple different series, which also means that by the end of each of those series they will end up a romantic pairing. This of course tends to make things very predictable if you know the couple is going to end up together in the end despite what trials and tribulations they face throughout the show. But it doesn't mean that the journey of them getting there isn't exciting. Take Off and Gun for example. I have been watching those two fall in love on screen for like literally 10 years now, and I can't explain it, but it just never really gets old. Like, even though I know they're gonna end up together in the end, seeing the journey to getting to that moment where they are a couple, every time they hold hands, the first kiss, like the yearning for each other, it's so, it gets me every time. Now that being said, being a set couple can be very beneficial for your career, but it can also be very limiting. Let me talk about it. Most BL boys don't find their perfect pair right off the bat, but when they do, their careers skyrocket. For example, First and Kotang. They had both done shows before becoming an on-screen pairing. With Kotang had done a couple of shows where he was like a supporting character, like usually a friend to the main couple. And then he finally got like his big break sort of with his own series where Pod is his on-screen love interest. And that is
Hon Konlati.
And that, Pod was originally his on-screen pair, right? First, again, had done several shows and stuff, not necessarily BLs, but then it seemed like they might have been setting up Om Patwat to be his like on-screen partner. And I say that because they did a show, Blacklist. I've never watched it, so I don't know what it's about. I don't think it's technically a BL though, but they did that show together, which then led them doing the show The Shippers together. And technically in that they're not they're not technically romantic interests in that, but they do kiss, so I'm counting it. Then he did Not Me, the series, right, where Gowan is his on-screen love interest, before finally getting to doing The Eclipse with Kaotang, which is crazy that that was their first show together because they just have such good chemistry, so you would have thought that they had been an on-screen pairing for years. So yeah. And then I think from there, went straight to doing Only Friends, right? Anyway, now let's look at Gowan. Gowan, he did Dark Blue Kisses, where Pod was his romantic interest. I think it was a bit of a love triangle. Like, I think there was one other guy wrapped up in that. But yeah, him and Pod were romantic interests. And then, of course, First was his romantic interest in Not Me, the series, eventually leading him to doing Golden Blood with Joss. Hence, they are now an on-screen couple. And with Joss had done a couple of shows before he did the show 3 Will Be Free, where he's basically in a threesome with Tay and another girl. Which is crazy that, like, I forgot Joss was the guy in that show. I haven't watched that show in years, but anyway. Then we have Earth, who was partnered with New before New got with Tay and before Earth got with Mix. Then you had Z with Saint before he ever got with Nunu. But that only took him one try. Some of these boys, they only took like one try, if you will, to get with the right person. And then before Saint was even with Z, he was originally with Perth in Love by Chance, right? And then Perth like moved on and he was with Chimon in Dangerous Romance. And then he finally got to Santa with Perfect 10-liners. I don't know if that was like their show or what. I didn't watch it. But I know they were in that show together before they got like their own official series together. Anyway. And even with Puin, he was with Neo first in the show 'Cause You're My Boy. That was the first time I ever saw Puin. He looked like a baby, an infant back then. He was probably like 15, honestly. Before getting with Pawn. And Pawn, I think Puin has been his one and only. I don't think he's been a pairing with anybody else. I could be wrong, but I don't think he has. So he got it right off the bat. First try. If I was Neo, I'd be so pressed though, because because Neo's never had like a pairing. Anyway, I'm kidding.
Sorry.
So you get the idea. The perfect partner doesn't come right away, but when it does, they thrive. And instead of being the supporting characters, they end up being the main dish. I rest my case. The limitations of being in a set couple can also be, detrimental to a certain degree, depending on where an actor wants to take their career. Because more often than not, fans will want to see these actors acting together as a couple, which can make it difficult to take on other projects that don't involve the pairing as a romantic interest, or that don't involve the pair in general. And that, unfortunately, is the flip side of shipping culture. Even though a lot of these boys get into the BL industry to build their careers, which nowadays especially is generally pretty easy, which means it can be even harder to leave the realm of BLs, especially if you're planning to leave with the success that you've accumulated because of BLs. Me personally, I haven't seen many BL boys successfully leave the BL realm, which is why a lot of them will often, even if they have one foot out the door, they still keep one foot in and, still do BLs while tending to their other endeavors, which is smart because it allows them to keep the fan base that they've built within the BL world strong and happy, which means that they will also still follow whatever other projects they're doing outside of BLs as long as they're still doing BLs. But most often, when a boy leaves the industry, you kind of never hear from them again, especially if they break off a pairing that people really liked. It doesn't mean that they're not necessarily doing well.
Okay, my apologies, Miss Girl.
But, they might not have been able to take their fan base with them. It's unfortunate that some of these BL boys do BLs to build a fan base so that they can go and do what they actually want to pursue, whether that's music or acting outside of just BL acting. And, the fan base doesn't necessarily want to follow them to see those things happen. Now, that being said, there is only one BL couple that were wildly popular that I can think of where they were both able to part ways and leave the BL realm to pursue their other endeavors successfully. And that is Bright and Win. These two did the show together, the series. Love it or hate it, it was one of the most popular Thai BLs at the time in 2020. It was like one of the #1 shows. I know a lot of people, it was very divided. Some people liked it, some people didn't. There's the cliche with the whole like guitar boy and like that kind of thing. I personally liked the show, even though I've been in, watching BLs for a very long time, so it's not like it was anything necessarily special or new, and the tropes were troping, but I think the series was really good because I honestly liked Bright's portrayal of Salawat. I thought he did a really good job. Like, it felt, I don't know, I thought he did a good job. I won't get into it because that's not what this video is about, but I liked the show. Clearly, a lot of people liked the show. I think that was also a show that was sort of a gateway for people to start getting into BLs at the time. That being said, usually a fan base that strong that really like to see these two as a couple would push for them to be in more shows together. So I have no idea with their wild popularity as being a couple, how they were able to part ways so gracefully. Perhaps it had something to do with the Thai version of Boys Over Flowers that they did. Now, I didn't watch that show, so I assume that they're not a couple in that. So maybe that was like a soft launch to them doing their own thing and like kind of parting ways, and like people were okay with it. I'm not sure. But they're like the only ones I can think of that were like successfully able to like fully part ways after doing one show, one series together. That's like unheard of. Anyway, Bright went on to focus on his music career mostly, I believe. I do think he did like maybe a couple of other shows, but mostly focusing on his music career, which seems to be pretty, successful. I don't know, I don't really follow him like that, but seems to be working for him. And then Win continued with acting outside of BLs, of course, and he seems to have had a couple of shows and movies that he's done that have done pretty well. I mean, I'm seeing him on Netflix, so must be doing good, However, I have been seeing clips of him lately hanging out with the BL boys again, so I'm kind of like, I mean, I know he's friends with them, so it's not like it's that weird to see him with them, but I do wonder, I'm like, I don't know, is he gonna stick his foot back into the BL world? Not necessarily that he has to, because his career seems to be doing very well, but maybe he just like wants to? Oh, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that. I think it'd be fun.
So,
No, I'm saying
what now?
So despite everything I just talked about, Okay, despite me saying how a set pairing is, you know, what's gonna skyrocket their careers, which, mind you, it definitely does, and BL boys that don't have like a set couple typically stay at like a very certain level of their career. And even if they do have a set pairing, it's not necessarily going to make your career take off, because some BL boys are just more popular than others. That's just the entertainment industry in general, right? You also can't really just be a solo BL boy. You know, you need a pairing. Like, that's like when you get into the industry, that is what you kind of are working towards. You're working towards finding a set pair, right? Or being in a set coupling. Because the idea of just being like a freelance BL boy and just popping up wherever you want, like, your career's either not gonna skyrocket the way you need it to or want it to, or you're just gonna kind of be pushed out of the industry altogether if you can't find a pairing. Or you'll be stuck being in like the supporting character role, which again, it depends on what these boys want for their careers, but I would assume that most people, if you're going into acting, you don't just want to be the friend to the main couple. Like, you want to be the main couple, right? I say all that to say, there is only one BL boy that is able to be essentially a freelance BL boy while still being the main character, and that is Wat. He's the only one I've seen be able to be a freelance BL boy successfully. You know, and I would even argue that he is living a lot of other BL boys' dreams right now. His career is very free and very successful. Like, he's been in this industry for, like, I would say over 10 years, actually. Not being in a set couple seems to have worked out really well in his favor. He's been able to, like, dabble in and out of BLs, play other roles, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not tied down to just one specific person, which means his fan base is his fan base alone, because he's never been in a set couple to where his fan base would come from just that couple, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that that was Ohm's original plan coming into the industry. I mean, he came into the industry when he was like, I want to say like 15, when he did Make It Right, the series. And of course, his love interest in that show was Toi.
โทอี้
People liked them together, I think. But I also think like it's not like there was an abundance of BL boy couples in general back then. And I will also say, like, in their show, they had real kiss scenes, and like, that's a whole other story of like the fake kiss scenes and stuff that used to happen in the world of BL back in the day. But yeah, like, the connection felt more genuine. It was, anywho, unfortunately, his partner did leave the industry kind of forever. Like, I think he might have did like one or two other things before he completely left the industry. So that obviously left Ohm without an on-screen partner. And every time Ohm after that would do a BL, it always felt like, okay, this guy is gonna be his like set pairing, right? Like, they're gonna be a set pair, this is gonna be the one, and then it never is, and then it never is, and then it never is, and you're just like, what is happening? And no one ever really gets like that mad about it. I would say the partner that he had the most, that most people were annoyed when they were no longer a pair, is Nanon. And I think part of the reason why it always felt like the next one was gonna be the one is because he just has really good chemistry, in my opinion. Anybody who is his love interest on screen, he just seems to have really good chemistry with. Maybe I'm crazy, but I genuinely think that. And that's why it always feels like, oh, this person will be his set partner. Nope, this one will. And it's like, you know, he has a gift. Good for him. And just for fun, I compiled a little list of, I think this is all of them, of all his love interests, his on-screen love interest male love interests specifically, just to really give a broad spectrum of how many partners he's had. Because most BL boys, like I said, they go through like 1 or 2 partners before they find the one. You know what I'm saying? Him, however, oh, honey.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
I am definitely going to butcher most of these names. So we have Toy in 2016 and 2019. Singto in 2019. Not in 2019. First in 2020. Now, I'm counting first, even though technically in the shippers they are not romantic love interests, but they do kiss, so I'm counting it. Then Nanon in 2021 and 2023. And Leng in 2024 when they did Kidnapped. And it seemed like they were gonna be like the pairing, and then they're not, so because they were supposed to be in Only Friends season 2. Like that was gonna be the lineup. Like they were supposed to be in Only Friends season 2. See, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Ohm is so used to not having a set pairing at this point in his career that I feel like he probably was like, yeah, I don't want to do another show because then people are gonna think we're locked in, and I don't want to be locked in. That's just my speculation. I think the only reason Ohm has been able to get away with this all these years is, one, he's like an original BL boy. Like he was in a series that was kind of the second ever like Thai BLs as we know them today after Lovesick. Because Lovesick was sort of known to be like the first show back then. So he's been in the industry a very long time. That, and he just has great on-screen chemistry with whoever his love interest is.
Got me up on a late night, you steady playing on my mind. Oh, I can't get you out my head. Got a feeling I can't fight. There's nothing left but it feels right. I'm feeling you and I won't pretend. I don't wanna say too much, I don't wanna say too much. I just wanna feel your touch. I wanna be closer, babe. I just wanna give you my love. I just wanna give you my love. I just wanna give you my love, my love. Ain't no doubt about it, babe. You should be mine. Through the sun and through the rain, I'll stay by your side. And when seasons change, my love will still remain. 'Cause I got you, I got you. Been down, I stay close. Storm hit, I ain't let go. You the one I don't second guess. Late calls, I be pulling up. Never could I give you up. Got it bad, I must confess. And I don't wanna say too much. I don't wanna say too much. I just wanna feel your touch. I just wanna feel your touch. I just wanna give you my love. I wanna give you my love. I just wanna give you my love, my love, my love, my love. Ain't no doubt about it, babe. You should be mine. Through the sun and through the rain, I'll stay by your side. And when seasons change, my love will still remain. 'Cause I got you, I got you. Ain't no doubt about it, babe. You should be mine.
So I feel like all of these things together give him like some sort of a pass that other BL boys could never have. Patwat is a unicorn within the industry. At the end of the day, set couples aren't just business, but they can very much affect these guys' real lives. Fans often like to speculate about a couple's real life dating status, which I mean, it's part of the fun. And I mean, it's understandable when a lot of these guys have incredible on and off screen chemistry. Now, I believe that a lot of them are very close friends, but I do think that there are some who are actually dating in real life. That being said, they can never reveal the truth because it would ultimately be a detriment to their careers. If these boys were ever to actually come out and say, yes, we are a real life couple, because they announced it publicly, you know, if anything ever happened between them and they broke up or there was cheating rumors or something like that, it would also be public. You know, if they are an on-screen couple and that is like their main career is being actors together, then that would obviously tank their careers very quickly, because you can't just break up in real life but be like, no, we're still gonna be an on-screen couple though, because it's like, yeah, but we know that you guys aren't together in real life. Like, now it's not the same. And even if nothing bad happens within the relationship, if you think about it, if they come out and say, yeah, we're a real couple or whatever, no one's gonna want to watch you with someone who's not him. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are not gonna want to see you possibly be romantic vibes with somebody else, even if it's just on screen, because now they're expecting that it's literally only ever going to be you two, because you guys are together in real life, right? So again, limitations to the career. Also, I mean, this is maybe a little bit more niche, but I do know that there are some fans where they like one half of the couple, but not the other half, if that makes sense. And for example, I'm gonna use Off and Gun again. Off Gun and Tay. Some people really ship Tay and Gun together, even though like they're not, like they've never been an on-screen couple, but people like their real life friendship and they feel like there's like romantic vibes between them and they ship them together. Even though Off has been Gun's on-screen love interest for literally 10 years. And so for some people, it might, you know, they might not like the fact if Off and Gun, for example, were to ever come out and be like, yeah, no, we're a real couple, we've been together for 10 years. Like, but then they see the way Gun acts with Tay, some people might not like that. So, you know, it's a tricky situation, which is why saying that you're a real couple isn't a good idea. But vice versa, people don't want to hear, no, we're not a couple. Fans would be disappointed, because part of them shipping you together is the fantasy of it being possible, right? They see the chemistry you guys have, they see, you know, the slight touches and handholds and like whatever, right? And they fantasize that it could be real. And so if you're blatantly saying like, no, it's not real, this is not happening, and it won't ever happen, it's like, and it would like kill the magic on screen as well, because you know that no matter how good their chemistry is, they just told us that it's never gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And this is the same reason why most of these BL boys will never publicly come out and say what their sexuality is, because it ruins the fantasy for fans, right? Fans want to imagine that you being with your on-screen love interest is possible, not just on screen, but in real life. And if you tell them that it's not by being like, well, I'm straight, so yeah, me and Jeff are not a real thing. It's like, okay, well, now it's like fans are gonna watch you on screen have great chemistry and it's not gonna hit the same anymore. I would say there are some BL boys who have come out over the years and publicly announced what their sexuality is, but I would say for the most part, most BL boys, you don't know what their sexuality is. And I think that's the better option for, like, from a career standpoint. And then there are some that it's very clear what their sexuality is, so they don't ever have to actually come out and say it. Because at the end of the day, fans want to believe that you can be a real couple, which is why revealing it is just not a good idea, because you're either going to say yes we are or no we're not. Both of those are bad options and limiting to both of their careers. And moving away from like the pairing themselves, just in general as an individual, I imagine being an actor in general, I imagine it would be difficult to date to a certain degree, but especially with these BL boys, I imagine it would probably be very difficult to date, because with these boys that have a set pairing, they are constantly together. One, they become very close often in real life, but then also, like, the business is tied to it, right? They have to do promotional things together, they have to like do tours together, those kind of things. And so they're constantly with each other. And I'm gonna use offgun again. If I were looking into dating offgun, right, I would be like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if that's worth my time, simply because you have been an on-screen pairing for 10 years. I see how you act in your business life. I see how you act in your personal lives. You are clearly very important and special to each other. Like, is there room for me within the equation? Even then, your careers are tied to each other. So despite anything that's going on between us, it's like you're always gonna kind of have to put them first. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but like, to a degree, you're tied to this person for the long run. Yeah, I would imagine it would be difficult for these BL boys to date successfully. I know at the end of the day, like, they're all actors, so, you know. And not only that, but if these boys were to date outside of each other, and even if they're not making it public, but like they're seen out with other people, and like even if they're trying to sneak around with you know, somebody or whatever, if people catch wind of that, their fans may not like it. And I hate to say it, but their careers are tied to the fans. So if their fans are not pleased that they're dating outside of their pairing, that could be a detriment to their careers. And even if they are successfully able to sneak around with someone that they're dating, I think that would get old fast, you know what I mean? Like, if we could never publicly be in a relationship, I think that would really suck, essentially. And all these things are ultimately the reason why I believe that these BL boys who are in set couples shouldn't always have to end up together by the end of their series. And I feel like the industry is dipping their toes into the water when it comes to this topic, because recently I've been seeing some of like these boys that are in set pairings kind of step outside the pairing just a little bit. Let me give you some examples. So Fort in yesterday, he kisses Cooper, who is, I guess, like one of his ex-lovers or something. And I don't think I've ever seen Fort kiss anybody except for Pete. I was shocked. I was like, oh, what's going on? It was even more scandalous because Pete's character is like sneakily watching him do this. And I was just like, whoa. Because I've just never been able to envision these two outside of each other, especially because Fort is so devoted to Pete in every way, not just on screen, but off screen. But it was kind of like, it added a little bit of something to the show. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, scandalous. Like, I don't know, that's just me. Next, Off-Road in the Wicked Game. Now, he doesn't kiss anybody, but there are frisky vibes going on with Net, who plays Jason, right? Jason is very touchy-feely with him throughout all their scenes together in the show. They never kiss, but they do get frisky. And again, with someone who is so devoted on screen and off screen, right? Thao has to see that happen, which the behind the scenes of that is honestly hilarious, but it adds a little something to it. I feel like the industry is like soft launching the idea of these set pairings being able to have some form of romantic intimacy outside of the pairing, if it is warranted for the show that they're doing. And Kotang in Only Friends, he is literally going after Book's character the entire show. Right? Like, we see him pine after Book. He does end up getting with Book's character in the show. They end up making out, kissing several times. So that's another, pairing that people really love, and they are very, like, set in their coupling. So to see them kind of step outside of that is kind of crazy. It's like,
If you know, you know.
So since Burnout Syndrome is the show that inspired me to like fully talk about this, I'm going to give a semi-quick maybe rundown of the show and how I was finessed into believing that Dew was going to be the one to break the curse. So the story revolves around Jira, who is this broke, struggling artist who just lost his job and is now struggling with financial hardships and burnout. Creative burnout. He vents to his friend about all of this. She runs an art gallery, so she's also in the art world. And she tells him that he should visit this bar called Burnout. And it's basically a bar where people go when they're feeling overwhelmed, and it just allows them to burn off steam and forget about their worries. Which I'm like, isn't that what all bars are for? are for? So Jira goes to the bar that night, right? It's his first time there. And the concept of this bar is basically you go in, you go up to the bartender, you tell the bartender how you're feeling, he will make you a drink according to how you're feeling, and then he'll give you a table number to go sit at. You go sit at that table, and he'll send another patron of the bar over there to sit with you and talk. And you basically end up having like a two-way therapy session where you can just vent to a stranger about how shitty life is right now. Which is when he meets Peem. Peem is this like IT tech worker who is easygoing and offers this level of comfort and stability to Jira because he just has like this calming presence and personality to him. And let me tell you, when Dew entered the scene, I was hooked. I was like, who is this boy and why don't I know who he is already?
Lord have mercy. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
I was like, why have I never seen him in anything or whatever? And it's like not like he's not in stuff, it's just he's not in things I've watched. So now I'm like, I was never really interested in watching the Thai version of Boys Over Flowers, but he's in that. So I'm like, I might have to watch that. And he's in like several other things that I passed up the opportunity of watching when they came out, but now I'm like, I missed out on seeing Dew. And like, I don't know what other kind of characters he plays and how close he is to the character that he's playing in this show, like personality wise and stuff. Like, I don't know, but he had me hooked this entire show. Now Jira's life ends up taking a drastic turn when he meets Ko. Ko is a arrogant, wealthy, recluse CEO. All words that are code for he's an asshole. And he offers Jira a job, a very strange one. He wants Jira to be his stand-in, not to be confused with this show, but he basically wants Jira to act as him in public settings, as well as be like a personal companion. It's very strange. Like, not a very official job title, if you will. But Jira needs the money, and this guy's offering up a lot, so he's like, okay.
And you would do it too for a check.
And Jira quickly realizes two things. One, Ko is very hot. Okay? He's very physically attractive. And two, he's very annoying. Like, their values do not align in the slightest. He's very arrogant and just unbearable to be around, frankly. Like, he does not like his personality or his views on things. They just don't mesh well. However, his terrible personality and his good looks somehow make him interesting enough for him to become Jira's new muse. Yes, the creative burnout that he was feeling is now starting to fade away after he does a painting of Ko on a whim. After Jira does this painting of Ko, Ko actually ends up buying the painting and seeing value in it. I think he likes the painting because it sort of seems like Jira sees him in a light that he doesn't see himself in, and that most other people don't see him in. But the painting that he did was very beautiful, so he buys it for a lot of money, which is the start of Ko's interest in Jira, because up until this point he's been rather rude to Jira the whole time, but now he sees some level of value in him. Meanwhile, Jira, since he has got his mojo back and he's feeling the creative juices flowing again, and he's not completely in financial crisis anymore because of this weird job that he has that pays him way too much, or maybe not enough because Ko is very unbearable to be around. He decides that he has time to date now. And who does he date? Peem. He likes the way he feels when he's around Peem. Peem has like this level of like sincerity toward him and this like genuine interest toward him as well, not just in his art but like as him as a person. And because he does like Jira, he does put the effort into getting to know Jira's world, because he comes from like tech, right? So he sees things very differently than Jira. Jira sees things through an artist lens and he sees things through like a tech lens. Also, Peem does seem a little bit obsessed with Jira. Like, when I say obsessed, I mean he is down bad. We do find out that he was like a little bit of a F-boy, I guess. Like, he was more interested in one-night stands and like the instant gratification of that rather than a real relationship. But when he met Jira, that kind of changed. Like, he did want to sleep with Jira on the first night, but then when they talked more and stuff, like, he wanted to see him again. He's like, I don't know, there's something about this guy. Like, he's the one, essentially. I also think he has like this fascination with Jira because Jira is an artist and like, you know, the way he sees things and moves through the world is very different. And I don't know, it's like Jira alleviates all that stress that he feels because his work life is in shambles, like it's a complete mess, you know, the things that he has to deal with, so he's constantly stressed out. But when he's around Jira, he doesn't feel that way. Now, these two find out pretty quickly that they are working for the same man. They are both working for Ko. And when they find this out, they're like, we need to not let him know that we're dating. It's just like a instant like understanding between them both that Ko cannot know about their relationship. Unfortunately, this doesn't last long, and Ko finds out on his own that these two are dating, and he's not happy about it. He doesn't like that they're romantic. He seems very triggered for some reason. And whether it's because he thinks that Peem will like, I don't know, like taint or poison Jira's mind against him, or if he's genuinely jealous because he's starting to have feelings for Jira. Not clear. Who's to say?
And who's to say?
Who's to say?
So Ko consistently tries to make sure that Jira is going to be his and only his by seduction. And when that doesn't work, he ends up forcing the situation into a power play. What does this mean? Well, Ko gets these two together and he reveals that he knows that they are romantically involved and that he doesn't like that. And he gives them an ultimatum. They either continue working for him under his terms or they walk away from him and his company completely. For Peem, the choice is easy because he's basing it off of his feelings and his emotions. It's very emotional for him. And to him, he sees a life with Jira. Like, he's like, I can build a life with him, you know? So for him, he's like, I can get another tech job. but I can't find another Jira, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, this is a no-brainer. But for Jira, the ultimatum is all about his fears, right? It's completely tied to his fears and insecurities around his art career. And he feels this way not just because of like the rejection that he's faced in life up until this point, but because Ko has brainwashed him essentially into believing that nobody truly values his art, and that him, Ko, is the only one who values his art and can financially support him. So basically, if Jira were to give this life up and step away from Ko completely to be with Pim, then he would be stepping away from not only supposedly the one and only person that values his art, but also the financial stability that he has been able to have since working for Ko. Now, the scene is very emotional. Pim is pleading with Jira to come with him. He's trying to convince him that he doesn't need Ko and that Ko doesn't really value him. He's like, I value you, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't just value your art, like I value you as a person. You know, he tells him that they can have a life together, they can build something real together. He's like, I will support you wholeheartedly, like this can work. We just have to get away from this guy who's crazy. But ultimately, the manipulation that Ko has put in Jira's head is just too strong, and Jira just cannot bring himself to leave with Pim. Despite the tears and despite not wanting to hurt Pim, he just can't do it. So Pim leaves heartbroken, and Jira stays feeling heartbroken and, you know, knowing that he was manipulated in that whole situation. Pim feels betrayed and, you know, led on by Jira a little bit in this situation. He hasn't fully given up on him, but he does feel some type of way about the situation, understandably. But the truth is, Jira did really like him, you know? Jira does feel for him, and he does like him. Like, that's why he pursued him. It's not like it was just a one-sided thing. It wasn't just Pim pursuing Jira, it was Jira also pursuing Pim. Like, that's why when Pim first finds out that Jira is working for Ko, and not only is he working for him as like his stand-in, but he finds out that he did a painting of him, which is like a very intimate thing. It doesn't have to, not like necessarily sexually, but I mean it's an intimate thing just in general, because he knows that Jira was feeling burnt out creatively, and suddenly after starting to work for Ko, his like creativity just came back, and it was because of him. Like, you know what I mean? It feels, the whole endeavor feels very intimate. And so when Pim finds that out, he's like, okay, well, do a painting of me, right? He's trying to even the playing field. He's like, do a painting of me then. And so Jira agrees, and so they set up a date, and he's like, okay, I'll paint you. And as he's I love this scene, it's really cute. As he's sitting there trying to paint Pim, Pim is, you know, he's trying to give Pim direction, like, just relax, sit there, just be calm, cool, collected, and I'll, you know, draw. And he's like, all right, but he's kind of like fiddling around. He pulls out a cigarette and like he's smoking, but he's just dead staring at Jira, and it's distracting him. He can't paint properly. He's like, what is going on? You know, he takes a flower and puts it in Jira's hair. It's like really cute, but Jira can't focus on painting. And later, Jira ends up talking to his friend and, you know, telling her about Pim and, you know, how he likes her and whatever, and telling him about the whole, like, painting situation. And he basically tells her, he's like, yeah, I realized that, you know, I didn't really want to paint him. Like, I didn't feel into it. He's like, I kind of just wanted to spend time with him. He's like, when I'm with Pim, I don't want to paint him or whatever. I want to just be with him in the moment. I want to hang out with him. I just want to be with him, which I thought was so sweet, you know, because I feel like it really shows the contrast of how he sees his relationship with Pim versus Ko. Now, at least that's how it was before, okay, before Ko and Jira kiss and then sleep together.
Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
That's when all the tables really get turned, because the thing is, like, Pim and Jira have kissed, but they've never gone beyond that, right? Because the thing was, because they had a couple opportunities for that to go down, but every time they got close to it, Jira would pull back and be like, I don't want this to just be a hookup. He's like, I want something more out of this, so I don't want to hook up with you yet. Like, I want to get to know you first. Like, I want this to be, like, I want to date. I want this to be something, not just a hookup. And Pim completely respected that, and he was okay with it. So, you know, it's very different between them, but now it kind of feels like a little bit slighted that Jiro was willing to hook up with Ko, who sucks, just because he's hot. Like, that's about it. Because everything else about him he doesn't really like. But the person that he supposedly likes, he's not willing to go that far with yet, even though at this point they've kind of been dating for a while. Now, of course, he has to talk to his bestie about this, because she's the only one who has sense, and she needs to, like, knock it into him. So Jira's talking to his bestie about this, and that's when he finally realizes, like, after staying behind with Ko and being like, no, I'm gonna continue to work for him, Pim quit, right? And they haven't really spoken since. Like, Jira's tried to call him, tried to text him, he's not answering, he doesn't want to see him, he's upset. So Jira finally gets a hold of Pim, and he wants to talk to him, he wants to apologize, he wants to whatever. Pim is at, like, one of those, like, rec rooms? Like, wrecking rooms? What are they called? Like, rage rooms or whatever, because he's upset. So he goes to the rage room to find him, and as he's trying to apologize, and Pim is, like, venting at how upset he is about the whole situation, like, the anger and passion that Pim has in the moment makes Jira want to paint him. And it's, like, the worst moment to want to paint him, but because that is such a, like, intimate thing within Jira's life to want to paint people, right, for him to see them in a certain light that he wants to paint them in, he's, like, is, like, even though he's raging out and upset and yelling, he's like, can I paint you? And Pim says yes, and he lets him paint him. And that was the end of their conversation. After he was finished painting him, he left. So Jira finally paints this beautiful painting of Pim in all his rage and anger, and he shows it to his friend, right? And he's like, well, you know, he shows his latest painting of Pim and then one that he did of Ko, and he's like, which one do you like better? Like, and she honestly says that she likes the one of Pim better, right? There's more passion behind it. There's something about it, right? She's like, but that's not my decision. She's like, you need to choose which one of them you want, because at this point, your muse and who you are actually attracted to are one and the same. It used to be like, oh, this is the one I'm attracted to, and this one's my muse. Now it's all mixed up and jumbled together. Now it's one and the same. She's like, you need to figure out which one of them is the one that you want to be with, and break things off completely with the other. And after careful consideration, and knowing the flaws of both Pim and Ko, Jira officially decides to break it off with Pim.
I'm done. Cut the show. I'm done.
Not only does he break things off with Pim, but he officially starts dating Ko.
First off, fuck your bitch and the click you claim. West side when we ride, come equipped.
Despite Pim warning him that Ko will break his heart sooner or later. It will happen. It's like a guaranteed. We find out earlier in the show that Pim has actually known Ko, like they've been friends since I think high school or middle school or something like that. And he tells, you know, he tells Judah, like, he's always been selfish. Like, he does what's going to benefit him. You know what I mean? Like, he went through financial hardships as a kid. Like, he was a rich kid. Then the family kind of went bankrupt or whatever, and he was like, I'm not gonna live that poor life ever again, bitch. So, and, you know, he's kind of become this person now, where he really only cares about himself. But Jira, despite knowing all of this, takes the leap and gives Ko a chance.
Wow, Bethany. Okay. Wow, are you kidding me, Bethany? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Now, the two are in bliss. Okay, they're very cute and romantic, and they're kissing, and they're spontaneous, and they're doing it everywhere at any time, okay? But the honeymoon phase does not last very long because Ko has been working on some kind of project for a majority of the show and hasn't really explained what exactly it is until now, because he has now completed that project and he's ready to show Jira what it is. And what is it, you may be asking? Well, it's karma is what it is. It's karma, instant karma for Jira, and it's a little bit satisfying to see. It's satisfying for like 2 seconds, and then it's actually like really sad and depressing.
No ma'am.
So Ko built an AI like program or something that studies an artist's artwork and is able to replicate their art style, which is insane. And he trained it using Jira's art, the art that he has bought consistently off of Jira. So he technically owns the artwork, right? And so he's been using Jira's art to train this AI, and he shows him how it works, and it's almost perfect. And Jira is pissed because obviously this is everything that he goes against, right? This is everything that he doesn't stand for, and he's told this idiot so many times his stance on AI and how it's like ruining the creative industry and stuff. And even at the beginning of the show, when we see him interviewing for a company, the company basically wants him to do something similar to this. Like the company wants him to like train their AI program to replicate his artwork or something like that, which is why he ultimately turns down the job, even though he really needs it because he needs the money. But it goes against everything he believes. So of course Jira is like, you need to like delete this. Like, I didn't give you permission to do any of this. And he's like, well, I own that artwork. I bought it off of you. Hello?
Hello?
He's like, I can do whatever I want with it. And obviously this breaks down to fight. And Ko does not take this as seriously as what he should. Jira is extremely upset with him. But like to Ko, he's like, this will like blow over. I don't know why he thinks that, because it definitely does not blow over. So this whole situation leaves him going crawling back to none other than Peem.
Right to jail, right away.
Jira goes crawling back to Peem, not for a relationship or romance, but to help him hack into whatever Ko's like system or whatever it is and delete this AI thingy, at least his artwork from it. And Peem being such a good person, plus he's like not completely over Jira, obviously. He still has feelings for Jira, and instead of being very petty and like, I told you so about it, he just helps him. He's like, yes, I will help you hack into whatever and delete the art stuff. And so he does. Also, because it was not clear enough to Ko anyway, they are broken up. He does break up with him over this, obviously, because he betrayed him. He feels very betrayed. The karma was so instant. You see how that worked? The honeymoon phase did not last long, bitch.
I mean, where's the lie, though?
I'm so annoyed because I wanted him to be with Peem, because Ko's character is still, like, he has, like, the smallest minute of growth. It's not even growth. It's, like, he has, like, a Saw backstory that we're supposed to, like, be like, oh my god, that's why he is the way he is. But I'm like, no, he sucks. He sucks, okay? Peem is just ultimately the better option, obviously, but whatever.
Sweet dreams are made of this.
So Peem deletes the AI art and whatever program thingy. I don't know if he like deletes it completely or just like the portions I have to do with Jira. I don't know, but he gets rid of that for Jira. He tells him that's done, and then the three of them part ways. So then we get like a time jump, right? It seems like it's at least a year later or so. Peem found a new job doing something else in tech, of course, and he seems to be doing well, and we see him go to Jira's art exhibit. So Jira has his own exhibit with all his beautiful paintings, which is like full circle moment, right? So obviously he sees value in himself now, right? We see Ko is also seemingly doing well. So like the building that he grew up in as a kid, like the apartment complex or whatever, it seems like he's bought it and is now renovating it and is like maybe gonna turn into a hotel or something. And so Pim and Jira are like at the exhibit together. Like Pim shows up there and obviously it's Jira's exhibit, so he's there, and they talk and they seem like they're on decent terms. Anyway, and so then, this is so criminal. Jira asked Pim to take him to see Ko.
So we don't have the capacity.
Who is at the being built hotel. And he brings along this painting that he did of Ko. And he is bringing it to him as like, I don't know, a peace offering / like it being a test. And he puts the painting, like he rolls out the painting, puts it on the wall and is like, buy it. Okay. Jira's like, buy this painting off of me. And he's like, not only are you gonna buy it, but you're gonna buy it for, you know, 3 times more than what you've bought my other paintings for in the past. And it's like this like really weird thing where it's like, I'm sorry, I thought you guys were done. Like, at the end of the day, he did something that was pretty unforgivable. He didn't get your permission. He knew your stance on it and he still did it anyway. But you're still willing to see him again? Like, I just don't understand. Anyway, he buys it. Ko buys the painting. Not only does he buy the painting, but then they hook up right then and there on his desk. And that's the end of the show. I guess they live happily ever after. I couldn't tell you.
I wasn't fucking with it.
It seems like Pim probably still has some lingering feelings for Jira. Like, that seems to... I think he's, like, moving somewhere else, so they're probably not going to see each other very often again. It's pretty obvious that, Jira and Ko are getting back together, so that's the end of the show. Not the biggest fan of that ending, I'll tell you that much. I had hopes for this show that it would change the way Thai BLs have been operating around set couples by taking one of the longest running BL couples and allowing them to part ways by the end of the show. Not in real life, just by the end of the show. And that didn't happen. I think this show was a really big missed opportunity. You know, I really do think this would have changed the BL game if offgun, if they didn't end up together in the end. That would have been a game changer. Because then people would have speculated, in their next series, are they going to be together? Are they going to have a next series? Is this the end of the set couple in general? And then they could have surprised everybody with another show where they do end up together in the end again. You know what I mean? Like, keep them guessing. It also would have gave them leeway in their relationship, like in their business relationship and stuff. And it would have opened the floodgates for other BL boys to have the same amount of freedom. The freedom to not necessarily even have to end up with anybody. Like in this show, I don't think Jira should have ended up with either of them. So yeah, I've always seen Thailand as like the front runners when it comes to the trends and, you know, the way BLs are, and they're always innovating the BL world. So I do think that allowing set couples to not always be endgame is going to be the next innovation within the Thai BL spectrum, after they conquer the Omegaverse, of course.
God have mercy upon us.
Okay, I don't think I have anything else to say. So, bye.